Hey, ladies and gents, welcome back. This is going to be part 2 to what if the shield hero had full knowledge of the kingdom of Melromark and everything else pretty much like that. In the last part, we covered that he pretty much, again, had full knowledge of all the kingdoms, such as being able to copy shields, and best ways to level, which allowed him to get all the way up of gathering money and leveling up to the point where he could class upgrade only one of them. He decided to class upgrade Raftalia. She still had her special items, in which allowed her to pretty much she didn't really have an option of which to pretty much class upgrade into, but that also means that all of her stats increase by 100%, whereas usually the class upgrade would only upgrade certain stats by 50%. So I'm saying it's pretty good that that would actually happen. Now, we don't actually know which pretty much accessory slash item was the one that actually did that, so I'm just gonna say she still has that in this one due to, like, why wouldn't she have it? Maybe it happened later on because, again, it's much later where they actually end up getting their class upgrades, but I'm just going to say she has the upgrade, and that's what she gets. She doesn't actually get to pick what she gets, it's just kind of the one option. So now Fumi doesn't have enough money to pretty much class upgrade himself, making Raftalia a hell of a lot stronger than Naofumi is at this point, but Naofumi also obviously has tons more knowledge along the world. And they also bought Philo pretty much, but she grew up, but she didn't get to, like, her fat stage yet. Like, she's still, like, the normal Filolio. So they leave her behind when the wave starts, and that's where we're going to jump right back into the what if. So pretty much the wave begins, and they head off to Loot Village after seeing that pretty much none of the Royal Knights or any of the other heroes were going to help them, and that village was actually getting attacked by the waves. Now, they obviously hadn't pretty much gained enough power yet to try to head to the other kingdoms, otherwise they most definitely would have done that yet at this point, so they weren't strong enough basically to head off to these other villages. Maybe now they would be. They know they got Filolial and she grew up, but that happened literally the day before, so there's no way they'd be able to make it to a kingdom in that time. So they head off to the Loot Village, and they pretty easily defend off the oncoming hordes. And I'm not actually going to cover any of the battles in depth because Naofumi didn't really have to go through any boss fights. He and Raftalia are much stronger than what they were in the original, and they pretty easily managed to take all of the people down, or the monsters and zombies and whatever you call them, down in the wave in the first part, so I don't see a point in saying that they would have really any difficulty in taking them down this time. So yeah, that's pretty much where the first wave is over. And now they are pretty much going back to the actual Kingdom of Melromark to gain their rewards. And now the shield hero still doesn't have pretty much his, how should I put this? He doesn't have his actual, criminal history, I should say, because he never got accused of pretty much, raping and doing that to the princess, so there's no point, so he wouldn't be, completely hated by the king. It would just be the past grudge. So he would actually end up still getting his money, and the king obviously wouldn't enjoy this because, again, he doesn't like the shield hero, at all, if any. So now that there's, that happening, there's a little bit of a feast that's going to be going on. And Raftalia is obviously there, and she's pretty much feeding Naofumi in the corner. And this is where the good old spear hero decides it's time that he wants to show up. And after pretty much showing up and being like, yeah, it's not good to have slaves. And Naofumi's like, well, what's the point of not having a slave? It's completely legal for us to have slaves. And now the spear hero is kind of just like, well, I'm going to challenge you to a duel, and if I win, then you have to release her. And Naofumi's like, well, what do I get if I win? And he's like, well, nothing, I guess. And Naofumi was like, well, what would be the point of doing that? And he'd be like, no, I decline your offer, and he tries to leave. Now, I don't see a point in making the king not pretty much stop him, so he would still pretty much stop Naofumi and be like, I demand that you accept the duel, pretty much thinking that he was going to put the shield hero in place. Now, I'm going to cover a few of the new shields that the spear hero got. This is over pretty much the time of pretty much him leveling up and fighting off the waves and putting the different materials into his shield. He would have knowledge of the creatures and knowledge of all these different things. So he has all the pretty much different shields that he has in the original, such as the leaf shield and the two-headed dog and all of those different ones, but he also has some pretty much new shields, and these were pretty much from different, like, elementals. And we don't actually have or at least in the anime, we don't actually have confirmation that there are elementals, but I don't see it, like, it's a magical world with weird, like, orange balls. Like, I don't know. So I'm just gonna say they're these weird elemental creatures. And Naofumi went and pretty much absorbed all of them, gaining a shield for each different element. This obviously does not mean he can send out, like, magical attacks and different things like that. Well, I mean, in a way it does, but he can't, like, create, like, a giant, like, bolt of lightning and, like, shoot it out at someone like that. At least not yet. Maybe I'll have him be able to do that later once he gets a little bit more proficient with that ability. But as of right now, he can't actually do that. He has to, like, whack someone with his shield in a way, and it, like, say you hit him with the fire shield, it would start them on fire. Say you hit them with the lightning shield, it would start them on fire. This, in combination with his airstrike shield, would actually be a really good thing. Say you make a fire combination, like, you know what I'm trying to say, like, you make a fire airstrike shield and you send it flying towards a spear hero. He isn't going to be doing that great after that. So the battle would begin, and it goes pretty similarly at the start, and Naofumi is a heck of a lot stronger than the spear hero, easily managing to block all of his attacks, doing that. He then traps him inside of the shield prison, which eventually, obviously, the spear hero would manage to break out of. And after he pretty much does that, he is like, have you heard of the story of the great spear or the impenetrable shield versus the great spear? And Naofumi's just like, I don't think you actually know how that ends, because how that ends is the shield blocks the spear. And this is where he blocks the spear of pretty much, what is his name? I can't remember the shield hero's name, or spear hero's names, but I don't remember his name. I don't really care because I literally hate the character. I hate that guy with, like, a passion. I do not like him at all. So Naofumi would trap him inside of another one of his shield prisons, and then he would start charging towards that shield prison, waiting for it to pretty much break. Naofumi gets ready with an airstrike shield. As soon as it breaks open, a giant fire, pretty much airstrike shield gets sent flying towards the spear hero. The spear hero barely manages to pretty much not, or he doesn't, like, completely dodge, but, like, he barely manages to get out of the way enough so that it only scrapes him. But he starts on fire from this. And now Naofumi doesn't necessarily feel bad, but he doesn't want to get, like, caught out for cheating or killing an opponent. So he creates another airstrike shield, this time with water element, and he sends it flying at him. This one pretty much extinguishes the fire, and now the spear hero is completely drenched. Naofumi now creates a normal airstrike shield and pretty much punches him across the entire pretty much thing using the shield, and now the spear hero is pretty much almost knocked out unconscious. And Naofumi slowly walks up to the actual spear hero now, and he's about to deal pretty much the finishing blow, knocking him out, except there's a giant gust of wind that is pretty much like flies towards him. And this giant gust of wind is actually blocked by a shield. This is a new shield that I didn't actually cover just yet, or I'm covering it now just because I wanted it to be a little bit of a surprise, and I didn't want it to be obvious exactly what Naofumi was going to do when the little baby princess girl shot off her pretty much wind magic. Naofumi has a different shield. It's a pretty much combination of all the different elemental shields that pretty much absorbs magical attacks and repels them at a target. So Naofumi would do this with the wind magic, and this isn't something like from Black Clover with, like, the, what is it called? The shadow, not shadow, I don't remember what it's called. It's, you know who's I'm talking about. He, like, creates the trap magic guy. It doesn't, like, double the attack power of it. It just kind of repels it and sends it back at him. So he would pretty much repel her attack and send it flying back towards her. And she barely manages to dodge out of the way of this. And everybody in the pretty much crowds, including the king, would just be, like, horrified. They'd be like, he is attacking the princess! He's attacking outside people! And Naofumi at this would just be like, are you fucking serious? Do you not realize what just happened? Do you not realize that she attacked me? And all of the people, everybody there, would just be, like, shouting, and, like, they'd just be pissed at this. And now the other three heroes would jump down, and they'd be like, why did you interfere in the fight, little princess? And she'd be like, I don't ever know what you're talking about. And everybody, including the king, everybody obviously knew that she shot off the wind magic. And there's no reason to assume, like, even if what the princess was saying was true when they were like, yeah, the king allowed me to interfere because Naofumi was using those weird orange balloon things. But Naofumi didn't actually end up using them this time. So Naofumi would win the battle, and he would pretty much be hated by the entire kingdom, except for the other heroes, except for the spear hero. This is due to the spear hero being a little dick, and not actually thinking that Naofumi actually won the battle. So Raphtalia is never actually set free, and they don't have that, like, obviously they have that heartfelt moment where she's, like, all, like, crybaby over him, but, like, it isn't as, like, sentimental as before. But she still does get the point across that she's like, I will be forever your sword, kind of a thing. Or I will forever be your sword. Whatever you want to call it, she still does that, and they like each other. But not in a weird way. Yet. I don't know. Raphtalia probably still likes her, but I don't know if Fumi actually has any actual feelings towards Raphtalia at this point. Now... They are pretty much, they head back, they get their rewards, they obviously don't get that much, they get like 800 silver, let's say, and now they head back to pretty much the village of Loot. This is pretty much where they went now, because they don't really want to deal with anything in the kingdom anymore. So after going to the village of Loot, they are encountered by something, I guess you could say. One morning, when they wake up, there's this weird thing happening outside. They hear a lot of commotion, and they go out to pretty much see what's going on. And when they do go outside, they see good old Princess and Spear Hero there. And they're like, as of now, the new Lord of Loot Village is the Spear Hero. And everybody's like, are you serious? And they'd pretty much volunteer good old Naofumi to be like, can you, like, challenge him and make it so that you, like, we want to, can you be our lord or something like that? And Naofumi was like, fine, whatever. Shield Hero would obviously be down for this, and he'd be like, are you seriously going to be racing me on that silly Philolial? I have this dragon. Obviously, Philo is still big and fat. She's a little bit plump, but she is still pretty much just as fast as she was, which is obviously faster than the dragon, as it is already. Naofumi has better, pretty much, proficiency with his shield, and has better, I don't know if he'd had better reaction time, but he can pretty much use different spells, or not spells, but he can use different magic types faster. So, the race would begin, and obviously the spear hero would still obviously want to race him. This is due to him being like, he didn't actually win in the last fight, I have to prove it to him in this one. And the race would begin, and obviously the pretty much princess would be interfering the entire battle. Naofumi, with better proficiency over his pretty much air strike shield, would pretty easily manage to cover up all the holes that he would be stepping in. He would be a little bit more tired at the end of this due to using a ton more pretty much of his shield powers, but he would pretty easily manage to win the race and gain, I don't think he gained lordship just as much as he was just like, get out of here. I don't like you, Spear Hero. Get out. As a way. So they continue on with their pretty much everyday lives, and they go camping out in the woods. And this is when pretty much Philo lays down onto Naofumi, and everybody goes to bed. And Raphtalia is pretty much standing there when Naofumi wakes up, and Raphtalia is pointing onto Naofumi's lap, and he's looking around, and he's just like, oh, where's Philo? Where'd she go? And he looks down, and he sees this little blonde-haired girl sitting there, and he's like, what the fuck? Okay, so that's where I'm gonna leave this part off. I'll see you guys in the next part. I think that was the perfect cliffhanger. Perfect. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next part. Peace out. Bye.